Hey everybody, it's Hangry Michelle, and here we are back for the Are You Not Entertained series, where I show you some tips and tricks for entertaining on your own without going crazy. One thing that I get asked about a lot is how to create the perfect cheese board. It definitely took me some time to really figure out the artistry of it, but I feel like I have nailed it, and I want to share my tips and tricks with you. So one thing to note is you want to have a lot of different little things that you can pair with cheeses and meats. Little mustards, some hot pepper jelly, some fruits, some dried fruits, some briny things, some salty things, some crunchy things, some chocolate things. The world is your oyster for a cheese board. I mean, you can go with a theme. You could do like an Italian antipasti theme and do marinated artichokes and stick to some mozzarellas and some prosciuttos. Or you can just do whatever you have in your house cheese board. And that is my style. It's a MacGyver cheese board. You know that my style of cooking is MacGyver cooking. So I just like to take whatever I have and arrange it in a beautiful way and start with patterns, start with blocking out the cheeses, and then fill in from there. So that's what we're gonna start with. For this cheese board, I've decided I want the sort of focal point to be this cucumber because I'm gonna have some dips on the board, as well as some cheeses and options that you could pair with a cucumber instead of a carb. I like to have sort of a carb-friendly cracker, if you will, so that's gonna be the cucumber. So I'm just gonna start by taking the tips off of this. Actually just gonna cut it in half because I probably only need about half of it. And I'm just gonna slice it on the bias to get some long, thin cucumber pieces. Okay. If I need more, I'll use it. I'll just make sure this tastes good. It does. Okay, so now I'm gonna start creating a pattern with the cucumber. That will sort of cordon off some areas for the meats and the cheeses. You might want to play with it a little bit. Maybe you want it to kind of curve. Whatever makes you happy and excited, just go for it. Looks like we could even add a few more pieces in here, really give it some height. You could even spend some time sketching out a cheese board before you start doing it, just so you have a really good idea of what you want it to be. I have to give a shout out to my friend Wayne Stump, who sent me this beautiful cutting board when I first launched Hangry District. It's all made in the United States. He even thrifted these beautiful knobs on the end to help me pick it up and take it places. He does gorgeous work, and if you're looking for a cheese board, I could not recommend Stump standards enough. So thank you, Wayne. Okay, so there's our cucumber. Now I think I want to kind of keep it to meats on one side, cheeses on the other. There's always a vegetarian typically at one of my parties, so that way they don't feel like the meats have been touching the cheeses, but you can do it any way you want. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now, so that's how we're gonna do it today. So I have a few different types of meat. We've got some peppered salami, some sopressata, and then just some Genoa salami. So I like to fold the salamis in different ways. So I folded some of these in half, but you shouldn't give up. They can come unfold, but if you just give it a really good crease, they tend to stay put. So I'm just gonna kind of fan these folded pieces out in the center here. And then these are already sort of arranged in a nice line, but I wanna get more festive than that. So I'm going to curl them. Just kind of tuck them under the cucumbers. If they come uncurled, don't worry about it. Just keep going. They'll ultimately uncurl in some sort of beautiful way that will look pretty. And nobody really cares. Another reason I like to separate the meats and even cut the cheeses is because I think people are intimidated to eat a cheese board if it looks too beautiful. But if you provide little nibbles that people can grab with their fingers, I think they're much more comfortable going in there. So I like to just make it as easy as possible for everybody to dive in. If you have a wooden board that that is really fond to you, that you don't want oil stains on, I recommend throwing down some wax or parchment paper on the board. My board is very well loved, and I don't mind a few slicks of fat. Just gives the board a little bit more seasoning. Okay. So I'm gonna finish it up here. Fold these guys too, these peppered ones. Just kind of tuck them in amongst the others. Okay, you can kind of do like a rosette pattern if you like. Okay, I'm gonna give my hands a quick wash. Then we're gonna move on to some cheeses. So one fun thing is to keep all of your cheeses cut in sort of a different pattern. So I have a block of Monterey Jack that I'm going to cut because, as I said, it's easier for people to just grab a piece and put it on a cracker and go. So I'm just gonna cut these into rectangles. The shape is already there. You can leave some at the end uncut, but why make your guests have to do any work? I'm just gonna cut all of these. Just make sure it's good. I don't think there's anyone in the world that could make a cheese board and not nibble on it the whole time. Am I right, Billy? He's not. Okay. Now again, I actually kind of like how these sort of fell into that shape. So I'm just gonna leave it like that. It looks a little bit organized, but a little chaotic, just like my life. And then we're gonna put on some manchego, which has already come pre-sliced into slices. And I'm all about that. I think there's more than one slice here. Anyway, we're just gonna fan these out. In different patterns. One more. Kind of like how they're shingling within themselves. It's really appealing to the eye. Okay, that's that. Now, I have this brie, and you may think that brie is just your standard, like there's nothing special about it. You could bake it, you can slice it, but one fun trick I learned recently is you can decorate it. So this might be a little tricky. It's the first time I'm gonna attempt something like this, but we're gonna try it. Okay, I'm just gonna slice off the top of this cheese. Okay. It's a bit of a fail. That's okay though. All right, so we're exposing the beautiful cheese inside. And then what you can do, something fun, you can take a cookie cutter. The only cookie cutter I could find was this bone. So we're gonna have a dog themed party. And you can cut out little shapes and put them on the cheese. Just kind of festive, and that way if people do not like the rind of brie, I don't understand that really, but they can just kind of scoop in for a piece. So yeah, there you have it. Something fun, different. Little dogs. Put this one here. Then we've got a bit of a softer, really interesting cheese. This is Humboldt Fog. Definitely my husband's favorite. It's stinky, it's funky, it's oozy, it's got cave ash in there, and it is just delicious. So I'm gonna put this one over here on the end, sort of. Maybe I'll kind of shingle these rectangles out a little further so that you can really dig in there for the Humboldt Fog. And then, now that we've kind of got our cheeses where we want them to be, we can start filling in with some fun things, some acidic things, some sweet things. This here, this guy's gonna get a little shovel to dig that out with. The others, you know, are all cut and ready to be eaten. So let's play. We have some dried fruit. I have dried apricots and dried mango. So I'm just gonna fill the holes in with some of these things. They go really well with all these cheeses. It's really fun to like mix and match different flavor combinations with the cheese. I love when I see people going crazy on a cheese board, just taking an apricot with a cheese and a meat and maybe some mustard. We'll get into the mustard. Here's some dried mango. Just kind of fan that out over against the cheese over here. Just kind of tuck it in wherever it'll go. Okay. Save those for later. We've got some olives. I'm just gonna pop those right there in that bowl. Now we have some hot pepper jelly. Actually, I think that'll go nicely with this cheese. I love hot pepper jelly. Highly recommend you buy hot pepper jelly for your cheese board. It's so delicious with sharp cheeses, salty cheeses, everything. Okay, now we have some dips here. This is labna. It is a cheese, but it's like the most delicious yogurt that you could ever buy. It's like a kefir cheese, so it's kind of acidic. It's yogurt-like, it's just delicious. And some hummus, but we're gonna just doctor these up a little bit just to give it a little bit more excitement for your entertainment party. So for the labna, I have some chili pepper olive oil. So we're just gonna drizzle a little bit of that onto the labna. Just a little. And then sprinkle it with some za'atar, one of my favorite spices in the world. It's got sesame seeds and sumac and thyme and salt, and it's so delicious. Sumac is like, it's like sour and bright, which you wouldn't think. And then with the rest of the spices, it's just a perfect little topping. So I'm just gonna sprinkle that on there for people to dip. And then, here's the za'atar, that's how you spell it. And then for the hummus, we're going to sprinkle on a couple sesame seeds. Okay, it's not open. Perfect. Okay, we're gonna forego that and we're gonna actually use red pepper flakes because it's gonna be delicious. Just put some in my hand. Couple red pepper flakes. And then just some regular olive oil, just to make it look fancy, you know? Just make it look like you added a little extra touch to it. Beautiful. Okay. Now we just get to keep filling in with delicious things. We have some clementines, some crackers. The crackers over here next to the Humboldt Fog. We have some blueberries, the ultimate chocolate covered almonds. I think it is highly important to put a chocolate covered something on your cheese board, because at least if they're not eating the cheese, they'll eat the chocolate. Okay, I like to fill in all the holes, so maybe we can use some pops of color here from our raspberries. Just cover up all the space that you see if you're trying to go for that grammable cheese board. Still a few holes, so I'm gonna pop some blueberries over here. And over here too. Anyway. Okay. Just shove them in there. Trust me, it's gonna look amazing. all of your friends on Instagram will love you. Okay? And we'll finish things off with a few pistachios just scattered around in the rest of the holes. Something people can pop into their mouth easily. This is what I've done, so that's cool. And don't worry too much about it. Like if things spill off, that's fine. People will figure it out. A couple more holes over here by the cucumber. We'll just finish that off with some pistachios. Okay. And then we'll just pop a few clementines just around on the board, just for fun. So I have them here. There you have it. A beautiful cheese board that I'm going to spin around for you. You lose a blueberry? Okay. Voila! You can also serve this alongside some crackers and some more crudité, maybe a toasted baguette for people to just pick and eat and love. So I hope this inspires you to make a fancy cheese board. Remember, whatever you got, just put on there. Oh, I forgot some mustard. That's always good. So you can just keep these little condiments going, just stick them in a little hole and let your friends indulge. So thanks for watching. I hope you make a cheese board. Tag me, #Hangry Michelle, #Hangry District. And I can't wait for you to see what else we have coming up in this series. So stay tuned.